15 times Princess Anne's behavior surprised the public. The Princess Royal Princess Anne has long been known for her no-nonsense attitude and dedication to royal duties. As the only daughter of the late Queen Elizabeth and the late Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, Anne grew up with certain expectations placed upon her. Though more low-key than some other royal family members, Anne has had her share of public missteps and controversial moments over the years. She doesn't play by the royal rulebook and has been unafraid to speak her mind or break protocol when she feels it's warranted. This has led to raised eyebrows and surprised reactions from the public on numerous occasions throughout her life. Join me as we look back on 15 of the most memorable times that Princess Anne managed to shock, stun, or perplex the public. Number 1. Declining royal titles for her children. Princess Anne sent shockwaves through the monarchy in the 1970s when she became the first royal to decline titles for her children. Upon the birth of her son Peter in 1977, Anne refused the Queen's offer to make him a prince, paving the way for her daughter Zara to also grow up without an HRH title. She broke over 300 years of royal history and protocol with this bold move. Traditionally, as grandchildren of the sovereign, Peter and Zara would have been entitled to the styles of prince and princess. However, Anne wished for them to be free to make their way in life without the burden of royalty. She gave them the surname Phillips, allowing them more anonymity and normality than royal children traditionally had. The public saw it as Anne snubbing not just royal customs, but the monarch herself. Anne's conviction to provide her children freedom from titles surprised everyone. She was branded stubborn and criticized for turning her back on her heritage. Others praised her forward-thinking desire to give them more privacy and liberty. It highlighted Anne's trailblazing spirit and willingness to modernize tradition. Number 2. Her reaction to a kidnapping attempt in 1974. Princess Anne displayed immense courage and composure when facing an attempted abduction in 1974. While being chauffeured along the mall, a gunman blocked her car and demanded Anne get out and into his vehicle. In a moment of incredible defiance, Anne boldly refused to comply, replying, "Not bloody likely," when he insisted a ransom would be paid. Her spirited resistance was likely key to foiling the plot. Most shockingly, the princess maintained remarkable self-possession despite having a gun pointed at her. The public admired Anne's stiff upper lip resolve and her refusal to be intimidated. She emerged stoic and unbowed, sending a message that she would not bend to the will of criminals. Videos showed Anne sitting calm and unflinching, staring down her would-be kidnapper. Her measured response under intense pressure was astonishing and won her praise worldwide. Anne's courageous conduct in the face of moral peril surprised everyone. She proved herself a princess of steely metal who could not be cowed. Number 3. Her Olympic equestrian career. Anne made history as the first royal to compete in the Olympics when she rode in the 1976 Montreal Games. What began as a private passion for horses became an intense dedication to Olympic-level eventing. Anne poured enormous effort into training over many years, even as she carried out public duties. Winning the 1971 European Eventing Championship proved her competitiveness and talent. Qualifying for the Olympics took immense skill and preparation from Anne, surprising those who assumed it was a princess's hobby. She faced ongoing scrutiny about divided loyalties between her sporting ambitions and royal role. However, Anne was determined to fulfill her Olympic dreams despite skepticism. Competing into her 50s, including at the 1988 Olympics, highlighted her fierce competitive spirit and self-discipline. Her Olympic journey challenged views on how a princess should behave. Anne proved herself an exceptional equestrian athlete as well as a devoted princess. Number 4. Her blunt, no-nonsense attitude in interviews. Over her many years in the public eye, Princess Anne has become renowned for her blunt style and piercing honesty during interviews. She's chided reporters for intrusive questions and given candid, unvarnished opinions that surprise and often offend. Anne's impatience with impropriety comes across as frostiness compared to the geniality of other royals when speaking publicly. She detests spin and refuses to sugarcoat on issues she feels strongly about. Her supporters consider Anne's directness refreshing while critics see it as rude or haughty. Either way, her matter-of-fact style's unfiltered and uncensored. For Anne, interest is always focused on the issue rather than pleasantries or niceties. She prioritizes frankness over tact, which has got her into trouble, but also earned admiration for straight talking. Anne's maverick interview manner has surprised many over the years, but she staunchly refuses to change. Number 5. Getting charged with a criminal offense in 2002. In 2002, Princess Anne was convicted of a criminal offense, a first for a senior royal. She pleaded guilty to the failure to control her English Bull Terrier dog after it attacked 2 children in Windsor Great Park. Anne was fined £500 for the incident where her dog bit and injured 2 young boys. The princess was criticized for initially refusing to apologize after the attack. The court case was hugely controversial, as it was unprecedented for a senior royal to face criminal charges. Anne's initial defiant attitude surprised the public. Though she eventually expressed regret, the fine was considered lenient by some, sparking accusations of unfair privilege. However, the princess was unrepentant about taking her dog into the public park. The incident tarnished Anne's reputation and perceptions of her stubbornness. It highlighted her willingness to flout convention and reject special treatment as a royal. Number 6. Her disdain for royal protocols and traditions. Princess Anne has never been afraid to show her disdain for stuffy royal traditions that she considers outdated. She's eschewed ceremonial gowns for trousers on certain occasions and refused to bow or curtsy to the late queen in public. Anne's frustration with rigid protocols has long been evident. She ruffled feathers in the 1980s, complaining that the old-fashioned system hampered her independence and work obligations. Even today, Anne's body language often looks bored, skeptical, or impatient during highly choreographed royal events. Her desire to modernize the monarchy and adopt a more informal, professional attitude has surprised royal watchers over the years, especially coming from the Queen's daughter. However, Anne has remained unapologetic about bending certain royal customs to suit her beliefs and practical nature. Number 7. Being the first royal to compete in the Olympics. Princess Anne made history by becoming the first member of the British royal family to compete in the Olympic Games. Before her 1976 Montreal Olympics debut, royals participating in professional sports were unheard of. By competing as an equestrian, Anne surprised everyone and broke new ground. She devoted herself to intensive training for years prior, driven by her competitive spirit rather than simply a princely pastime. Qualifying on merit for the rigorous 3-day Olympic eventing competition was a major achievement in itself. Anne's grit and determination opened doors for other royals to compete at the Olympic level in the future. She pioneered a new public role as an elite royal athlete. Although some thought it distracted from her royal duties, Anne followed her passion and talent. By winning gold at the European Eventing Championship in 1971, she had already surprised many as a princess excelling in professional sport. Number 8. Riding horses into her 60s and competing in events. Princess Anne's lifelong passion for horse riding and equestrian events has surprised and impressed the public. She's still competing regularly at top-level events into her 70s, which is extremely rare. Her dedication has never waned since childhood. Anne won the prestigious European Eventing Championship title back in 1971. She made history as the first royal to compete at the Olympics in 1976. However, Anne continued riding competitively for many decades since, through injuries and immense pressure. Despite royal responsibilities, she prioritized training and competing. Anne has resisted pressure to retire gracefully and only compete in ceremonial events as she aged. Her enduring vigor and competitiveness as a senior Olympian test perceptions of how a princess should behave. Anne's lifelong equestrian career shows her remarkable determination. Number 9. Calling royal walkabouts ridiculous. A blunt Princess Anne once revealed her true feelings about the tradition of royal walkabouts in an interview back in 2002. She dismissed the walkabouts as ridiculous and so strange, explaining that she found the small talk awkward and peculiar. Anne's candid criticism surprised royal fans who assumed the royals enjoyed the up-close interactions. Calling it the weirdest thing people expect, Anne never held back voicing her real opinion. As a no-nonsense princess focused on her charity work, she has little patience for trivial ceremonies. While her comments may seem arrogant or ungrateful to some, Anne's supporters contend she's simply being honest rather than putting on a front. Her distaste for royal theatrics has always shown Anne's straight-shooting spirit. Number 10. Her no comment during a press call about Prince Andrew. Princess Anne prompted surprise when asked about the Prince Andrew scandal in a January 2022 press call. When questioned about Andrew's legal issues, Anne responded bluntly, "I don't comment on Andrew." Her blunt refusal to discuss her brother's troubles was likely instructed by the monarch, but came across as cold. This stonewalling is typical of Anne, who never engages in sensitive royal matters in the media. However, saying no comment is rare for the family and is seen as insensitive by some. Anne's terse response highlighted the royal strategy to distance themselves from Andrew, but revealed her no-nonsense attitude. She avoids palace drama or speculation. The princess was likely frustrated to be asked given she was conducting a royal engagement on her charitable work, but her curt shutdown indicated the family's desire to shut out scrutiny regarding Andrew's behavior. Number 11. Swearing at photographers trying to get pictures of her. Princess Anne has been photographed and filmed cursing irritably at members of the paparazzi at various public events over the years. One notorious incident occurred in 2002 during Queen Elizabeth's Golden Jubilee celebrations, when Anne was caught swearing at a photographer shouting, "Naff off." She's also been seen pushing cameras away in annoyance. Anne's fiery temper has flared up against what she deems invasive photography, leading to unladylike language unbecoming of a princess. However, Anne has refused to apologize for these angry outbursts, insisting that aggressive photographers provoked her. She claims they blocked her from carrying out her duties. Her blunt reactions have surprised fans, expecting more poise and patience from royalty. However, Anne's supporters contend she has every right to stand up to harassment, regardless of protocol. Number 12. Her rumored feud with Princess Diana. Throughout the 1980s and 90s, rumors swirled that Princess Anne and Princess Diana had an intense dislike for each other and were locked in a bitter royal feud. Anne was said to disapprove of Diana's public popularity and glamorous style that threatened to eclipse other royals. Meghan was also considered strong-willed and resistant to royal rules that Anne had adapted to. They had little in common, and Anne reportedly found Diana's emotional vulnerability problematic for the family firm. For her part, Diana was intimidated by Anne and felt rebuffed by her stiff formality behind the scenes. Anne's body language towards Diana appeared frosty in public. Rumors flew about dramatic arguments between the pair away from cameras. While unconfirmed, their rumored feud revealed Anne's old-fashioned rigidity versus Diana's warmth and glamour, a generational and cultural clash within the royal family. Number 13. Admitting she doesn't shake hands with people due to hygiene reasons. Princess Anne raised eyebrows in 2020 when she stated she avoids shaking hands with people she meets at public engagements. She admitted finding the practice weird and disliked the expectation to shake hands with long queues of strangers, citing hygiene concerns. This broke from the tradition of royals interacting with the public. Anne's aversion to the custom due to germ-spreading fans who felt it showed squeamishness and lack of grace. However, the princess refused to fake affection she didn't feel, defending her stance as sensible hygiene. Critics labeled Anne snobbish, arrogant, and aloof. Her attitude clashed with Diana's warmth and willingness to comfort the sick, even during the HIV/AIDS epidemic. However, some supporters saw Anne's attitude as progressive, given rising health precautions. Her unapologetic stance fueled the perception of Anne as a royal happy to flout expectations. Number 14. Her divorce from Captain Mark Phillips in 1992. Princess Anne's divorce from Captain Mark Phillips in 1992 shocked the public, as it was unprecedented for a monarch's child to divorce. After nearly 20 years of marriage, Anne initiated the split in 1989 when relations broke down. The Queen had to formally approve the divorce. Anne was granted custody of their children Peter and Zara amid much media attention. She was the first royal to remarry after divorce to Commander Timothy Lawrence in 1992. At the time, divorce was considered scandalous for the royal family and seen as evidence of loose morals. Anne's decision signaled a new modern look, but traditionalists saw it as disreputable and shameful. The princess was branded selfish for putting her desires above duty. However, Anne asserted her right to move on for her happiness. Her bold divorce set a precedent within the royal family for future generations. Number 15. Being convicted of speeding while driving her Bentley in 2001. In 2001, Princess Anne was caught speeding in her Bentley at 93 miles per hour in a 70-mile-per-hour zone, which resulted in her being convicted and having to pay a fine. It was a massive embarrassment for the Princess Royal to receive a criminal penalty. She already had 9 previous speeding tickets on her record. The incident reinforced Anne's reputation as impatient and entitled, assuming she was above the law. Having scarcely avoided losing her license, the conviction was humbling. The press also criticized the leniency shown towards Anne's offense versus average citizens. However, the princess offered no excuses and paid the price like anyone else. Her lead-foot tendencies landed her in trouble before, so the conviction wasn't a total surprise. But considering Anne's royal status, being found guilty of a traffic offense was still deemed unseemly by critics expecting higher standards from the monarchy. Princess Anne has always done things her own way, whether it's competing at an Olympic equestrian, rejecting royal titles for her children, or speaking bluntly in interviews. She's never been afraid to modernize traditions or express unfiltered opinions. Anne's independent spirit and willful personality have challenged perceptions of how a princess should conduct herself. Let me know in the comments down below, which moment surprised you the most? What are your thoughts on Princess Anne's unique approach to royal life? Does she bring a refreshing change or disrespect customs? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more exciting content. Thanks for watching. Until next time, bye.